In Madagascar, farmers sleep in their fields with machetes. Armed guards patrol vanilla plantations at night. Thieves have been beaten to death by mobs protecting their crops. At the peak of the boom in 2018, vanilla traded at prices higher than silver. Meanwhile, a weed growing across Europe produces the exact same vanilla flavor compound. And at the end of this video, you will know exactly how to grow infinite vanilla flavor in any shaded corner of your yard using a plant the FDA accidentally revealed they have been watching since 1954. Welcome back to Garden Explained with Harry. Click that subscribe button. Now let us begin. Walk into any grocery store today, find the vanilla extract, and check the price tag. A small bottle costs more than most spices on the entire shelf. Now check the label. 95% of vanilla products are artificially flavored. They do not contain real vanilla at all. They contain synthetic vanillin derived from wood pulp and petroleum. You are paying luxury prices for industrial chemistry. The real vanilla orchid is one of the most labor-intensive crops on Earth. It grows only in specific tropical climates. Each flower blooms for just a few hours, and each blossom must be pollinated by hand. There are no machines for this, no shortcuts, no automation. A single vanilla bean will be touched by human hands hundreds of times before it reaches your kitchen, perhaps thousands. As much as 80% of the world vanilla supply comes from the mountainous regions of Madagascar. Smallholder farmers work plots smaller than a football field. They painstakingly pollinate each vanilla blossom by hand using a technique invented by a 12-year-old enslaved boy named Edmund Albius in 1841. His method has never been improved upon. Nearly 2 centuries later, farmers still use the same wooden stick technique he created. Between 2013 and 2018, international vanilla prices increased tenfold. A boom driven by low harvest years, rising demand for natural flavoring, and speculation by intermediary buyers. Vanilla farmers became targets. Organized theft rings moved into the SAVO region. Farmers were killed attempting to protect their crops. Would-be thieves were executed in forms of mob justice. Villages formed armed militias to guard their fields. This was not random violence. This was the predictable result of a cartel system that has controlled vanilla for over 60 years. In 1962, Madagascar formed an alliance with the Comoros Islands and Reunion. They called it the Vanilla Alliance. Together, these 3 territories supplied 3/4 of the world's vanilla market. The objective was simple: control supply, manipulate prices, extract maximum profit from the second most expensive spice on Earth. A company called Univanille dominated this cartel structure. Export quotas and licenses were politically allocated. This created market monopoly. The farmers who did all the labor received less than 8% of the vanilla price. The rest disappeared into export taxation, middlemen fees, and cartel profits. Today, the vanilla market is valued at over $29 billion. Industry projections suggest it will reach $45 billion by 2032, growing at nearly 6% annually. Billions of dollars flow through a system built on artificial scarcity and information control. But here is where the story takes a turn that the vanilla industry does not want you to know. In 1858, a French chemist named Theodore Nicolas Goblet isolated the compound that gives vanilla its distinctive smell and taste. He called it vanillin. That was the molecule, the actual chemical responsible for what your brain recognizes as vanilla flavor. By 1874, German scientists Ferdinand Tiemann and Wilhelm Harman had figured out how to synthesize vanillin artificially. They founded a company called Harman and Reimer, and they started the first industrial production of synthetic vanilla. Today, that company is part of Symrise, one of the largest flavor corporations on the planet. Here is the critical detail. Vanillin is just one molecule, and it is not the only molecule that triggers the vanilla response in your brain. There is another compound, a chemical cousin. It activates the exact same olfactory receptor in your nose. The receptor is called OR2B11. When this receptor fires, your brain interprets the signal as sweet, warm, and comforting as vanilla. This compound is called coumarin. Coumarin smells like vanilla, but more sophisticated, more complex, more interesting. Perfumers have known this for over a century. The flavor industry has known this for decades. And there is a plant that produces coumarin in abundance, a plant that grows like a weed, a plant that has been consumed by hundreds of millions of Europeans for over 500 years. In 1954, the Food and Drug Administration banned coumarin as a food additive in the United States. The official reason was hepatotoxicity in rodents, liver damage in rats and mice. But here is what the Food and Drug Administration did not emphasize. Humans metabolize coumarin completely differently than rodents. Rodents convert coumarin mostly to 3,4-coumarin epoxide. This is toxic. This is unstable. This damages their livers. Humans convert coumarin mainly to 7-hydroxycoumarin. This is a compound of much lower toxicity. No adverse effect has been directly measured in humans, even in large doses. The Food and Drug Administration banned a vanilla alternative based on rat studies. Meanwhile, Europeans kept consuming it for 5 more decades, with no health crisis, no liver epidemic, no warnings. The Food and Drug Administration still lists coumarin among substances generally prohibited from direct addition or use as human food. But there is an exception buried in the regulations. One natural additive containing coumarin is allowed in alcoholic beverages only. That additive is sweet woodruff. The plant is called Galium odoratum, sweet woodruff, sweet-scented bedstraw. It is a flowering perennial in the family Rubiaceae, native to much of Europe from Spain to Siberia. It has grown in European forests and gardens for over 2,000 years. Its specific name, odoratum, means fragrant. The plant is strongly scented. When you harvest it and let it dry, it releases a sweet, vanilla-like aroma. This fragrance comes from natural coumarins stored in the plant tissue. The drying process releases them into the air. In Germany, they make Maibowle, or May wine, white wine infused with sweet woodruff, harvested in spring. Families have made this for generations. It tastes of fresh mown grass and vanilla, and it marks the arrival of warm weather. It is tradition. In Germany, they also make Gotterspeise, food of the gods, also called Wackel pudding or wiggle pudding. It is a sweet woodruff-flavored gelatin dessert topped with vanilla sauce. Children eat this at birthday parties. Adults eat it for nostalgia. Nobody worries about their liver. In Berlin, they flavor wheat beer with sweet woodruff syrup. They call it Berliner Weisse mit Schuss, a green-colored summer drink served in bowl-shaped glasses. Tourists photograph it. Locals drink it without thinking twice. 500 million Europeans have access to this plant. They know what it tastes like. They know it is safe. They have been consuming it since the Middle Ages, when monks used it as a strewing herb to freshen monastery floors. They stored it in linen cupboards to repel moths. They used it to treat wounds and cuts. Documentation fills medieval herbals and monastery records. The flowering tops and aerial parts have been traditionally used to treat circulation problems, venous disorders, jaundice, hemorrhoids, and nervous agitation. Modern researchers have started to validate some of these uses. In a study published in the journal Antioxidants, researchers found that sweet woodruff extracts exhibited anti-inflammatory activity. The extracts effectively reduced M1 macrophage populations involved in inflammatory responses. In rat studies, the plant inhibited carrageenan-induced paw edema by 25%. This compared favorably with indomethacin, a standard pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory. The Germans banned industrial usage of sweet woodruff for sweets in 1974 based on those same rat studies, but they never banned home use. They never banned May wine. They never banned the wiggle pudding because they understood the difference between feeding concentrated extracts to rodents and humans eating reasonable amounts of a traditional food. Now here's the part that matters for your garden. Sweet woodruff is one of the most aggressive self-seeders in the plant kingdom. Given the chance, it will naturalize. It can be found growing happily on abandoned home sites decades after humans left. It spreads through slender rhizomes, forming soft mats that expand gradually every year. It readily self-seeds and can quickly spread around the garden. This is not a delicate orchid requiring precise tropical conditions and hand pollination. This is a weed that wants to grow. Sweet woodruff thrives in USDA zones 3 through 8. This covers most of the continental United States and equivalent climates in Europe. It prefers moist, rich soil in partial to full shade, but it will tolerate dry and less than optimal soils. It tolerates heavy shade. It even tolerates being planted near black walnut trees, which produce chemicals that kill most other plants. It is virtually pest-free, deer-resistant, naturally elegant, undemanding, one of the most versatile, low-maintenance ground covers for shaded spaces. The exact spots in your yard where nothing else wants to grow. Plant it once. Let it establish. Let it spread. Every spring, it returns without permission. Every spring, it expands its territory. Every spring, it produces more vanilla-flavored leaves than you could possibly use. Harvest the leaves throughout the growing season, let them wilt for a few hours. The vanilla scent intensifies as they dry. The coumarin releases from the plant tissue and fills the air. Use them fresh in drinks. Dry them for tea. Infuse them in cream for desserts. Store the dried leaves for winter. Some foragers call it wild vanilla. Some call it sweet gallium. The names vary, but the chemistry stays the same. The same coumarin, the same receptor activation, the same warm, sweet comfort that your brain interprets as vanilla. The question is not, why did Europe hide this plant? Europe did not hide anything. German grandmothers make May wine every spring. French herbalists stock it on open shelves. British gardeners grow it as ground cover under their trees. The knowledge was always there, always public, always available. The question is why Western food systems never integrated it, why 15,000 studies on fish oil and 400 on alternative omega sources, why a $29 billion vanilla industry and almost no awareness of a free alternative. The answer is not conspiracy, the answer is economics. A plant that self-seeds cannot generate repeat seed sales. A flavor compound banned from processed food cannot threaten industrial vanilla suppliers. A crop that needs no inputs needs no input suppliers. A harvest that requires no processing cannot generate processing revenue. The FDA ban on coumarin did not protect American health. Americans have never experienced a coumarin health crisis. The ban protected the synthetic vanillin industry. It protected the Madagascar vanilla cartel. It protected everyone who profits from the artificial scarcity of vanilla flavor. What cannot be patented cannot be controlled. What cannot be controlled cannot generate reliable revenue streams. What cannot generate revenue does not get marketed. 3 generations of Americans grew up without ever hearing the words sweet woodruff. Not because anyone actively hid it, because no one profited from revealing it. But you know now. You know that a vanilla alternative exists. You know it self-seeds forever. You know that 500 million Europeans consume it regularly. You know that modern research validates traditional safety. You know that you can grow it in shade where nothing else survives. You know that one planting creates permanent flavor infrastructure. The vanilla cartel will not tell you. The synthetic flavor industry will not tell you. The FDA certainly will not tell you. The information threatens too many revenue streams, but the plant does not care about revenue streams. It cares about spreading. It cares about establishing itself wherever shade and moisture permit. For 2,000 years, sweet woodruff has pursued this single agenda. It will continue for 2,000 more. Subscribe and watch the next video to discover more secrets hidden beneath nature.